Yeah, put out relevant content, put out short form content, content that gives instant gratification, and that human element is really going to help drive your engagement.
John, just before you speak, just be cognizant of Lori, who's got a 1 minute sign. Nobody's gone over yet. I'm just saying if somebody does, that will go up. Thank you.
So I said earlier, and Kevin asked, what makes a video effective? Well, before you start the video, you have to ask, what are you trying to achieve, right? What's the target audience? And how long is this video, is it gonna have a shelf life? Is it a quick little message? Are you trying to get engagement out with some of your social media, target audience? Or is it something that's gonna live with your brand forever? Those are things that you have to think about to determine what it needs to have in order to be effective. But the days of a video having a budget of $50,000, $100,000, $250,000, they're gone. They're gone. The budgets aren't there. And if they are there, I think, and some of my colleagues might disagree, I think that's a poor investment of that money. I think there's other things you can do in your business. And the idea of using a cell phone, we can't combat that anymore. They're going to use the cell phone. I mean, that's where we are right now. And the fact is, the video quality of your cell phone is pretty damn good. So how do you use your cell phone effectively? And when I say a video has to be effective, what does that mean? It means if you're sending out any communication that is representing your brand, it represents you, and is it brand worthy? It's got to be good to great. So what can you do? The video quality has to be good, your phone can do it. It can't be shaky, so yes, use a tripod, or when you're shooting, you stand like a tripod, right? That's the things that you have to do. Audio, the audio pickup from your phone is meant to be this close, not this far away. So you want to get the camera closer to your subject. You want to be in a room that is not so hollow. Record something, and then play it back and hear it. And if it sounds like crap, it's crap. Shoot it somewhere else. Shot composition. When you have your camera and framing, are you shooting Corey like this? Well, no, this is going to be a crappy background because I got Kevin standing back there, so I'm going to go around, and I'm going to get in the right position, and I'm going to take the camera, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to move so I get the right composition. It's basic photography, and it can be done with your phone if it has to be. For me, like a social media campaign, you want to be able to get stuff out, you want to be able to get it quickly. You're doing stuff on Instagram, what is the cadence of your communication? Once a week, once a month. But for me, that's effective. It's got to be good, it's got to represent your brand properly, and you've got to be able to have an immediacy in getting the information out. And stuff can be done on your phone. If it's something that's going to have a long shelf life, well, reach out to one of my colleagues here who we're collaborators, we're not competitors. So we collaborate on projects. Reach out and then you talk about scripting. You talk about, the size of the crew that you need. Sometimes you might need something that might cost $50,000. But first thing you do is consult with somebody. Consult with someone, and if they're not asking you, who's your target audience? How long does this video need to live for? What's the shelf life? What are we trying to say? If the first thing they talk about is how much money do you have, it might be the wrong person you're speaking to.
It's true.
Okay, so let's see. So
Susan was going to say, how much money do you have?
No, hardly. So you covered a lot of the points I was going to make, but so what makes a business video effective? I think strategy is number one. If I have to, so the purpose of the video that you're creating, especially in a large corporation, everyone should be in agreement with what the purpose is. Is it to increase brand awareness? Is it to sell a product? Is it to promote a seminar? All of those things are attached to different calls to action. So number one is everyone agree on the purpose of the video. The next is, and most marketers already know this, but audience. Know your audience. Who are you speaking to? Exactly, their age, their likes and dislikes. Where are they shopping? Most of us are shopping online. I mean, we really, become a culture of looking for things we like on Amazon or eBay or any number of things. We're fed ads now in our Facebook feed, you'll see ads, how did they know I was just looking at that? You know, ta-da, and that's the technology that we live in. So, so know your audience. And then what platform is that video going to live on? Facebook is different. Facebook, a view on Facebook is only like 3 seconds. So you can say, I posted a video on Facebook, I got umpteen billion views. Really? Well, you know, a lot of that, they really didn't watch your video, they scrolled through it. Where YouTube's algorithms are more sophisticated and probably a better measure. So I like to look at the strategy before I even design or even come close to beginning pre-production on the video. The things that make it successful, get to your point. People don't have the attention span, as you say today, to, you know, they want to know exactly what the video is about. Is it going to solve my problem? And then you build a story around that. So that's
I thought, by the way, these answers right off the bat were fantastic. So glad I chose you as a panel. Did everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Great stuff already, really.
Good night.
Should, and I'm going to go right down the line, starting from Susan, pretty quickly, if you would. This is a question that is subjective. Should the owner of a business be in their own video?
Okay, that's a great question. So, a lot of people are afraid to be on camera. And in that case, there's two things. I personally like to see the owners or people in business on camera, but it has to be authentic. So if you're petrified to be in front of a camera, maybe it's better that there's a short scripted bit that they read. Or, and in a more authentic way, is to give them the questions you're going to ask them in advance so that they kind of, you know, formulate it in their head, and then they give their natural answer. And then it's up to the editor to piece that together in a way that tells a good story.
Good answer.
Okay.
Case-by-case situation, absolutely 100%. You could have an owner of a business who is engaging, who is charismatic, and yeah, let's put them on. You may have an owner who is not. I mean, let's go back to the Seinfeld episode. You really want the soup Nazi on camera, you know? No. But, you know, should the owner be seen in the video? Quite possibly. And then, of course, is the owner forcing themselves to be in the video? End of the day, it's their money, it's their budget. You have that responsibility to consult and say, you know, I think there might be a better way. Can I offer an alternate view and give them your certainly professional opinion? But I do definitely think it's a case by case.
No, I was just going to say, if it's absolutely imperative to have the president or someone that's not great on camera, you can take a sound bite, which is like a half a sentence or a sentence, and then cut away to B-roll to cover them up. So, you know, maybe you can do a voiceover later that matches. That's another option.
Absolutely.
You know, there's always a workaround.
Sure, you know, I definitely agree with John and Susan. I think the most important thing is not so much who's on camera, because quite frankly, does our audience really care whether you're the owner or not? I think creating an effective video for your business is identify the employees in your company who have a really big personality. They know how to make jokes, they know how to make people laugh, they know how to be comfortable and dynamic in front of a camera. And, you know, maybe it's a situation where that dynamic employee is sitting with the owner, where they can kind of feed off their energy and bounce back and forth together. Because at the end of the day, what we're putting out there, if the content is entertaining, then that's really what's going to engage people, not so much who the subject is, right?
A lot of the discussion you're talking about presidents of companies and whatnot, and I just ran through this. I just finished a 3-month process of weaning the CEO out of the video production process of this large company. He's still involved, but they went with my advice. It was very risky, because I was at a very impromptu meeting. They said, how do we make these videos more effective? And the first words out of my mouth were, don't put that guy on camera anymore. Now, that's pretty risky, but it was an assumed risk, because I think they were thinking it, but coming from someone else who they can stop writing checks to, they could say, well, they blame it on me, right? But the end result is we shot 3 videos in the last 4 weeks with mid to upper level people who are just charismatic, they're engaging, and they are very representative of the company in a way that the CEO, and he's very, very good at the business he runs, but he's not a person who should be representing the business. And that's the reality. He represents at various conferences, and he's that front-facing person. But at the end of the day, they're using this internal communication app. They've replaced emails. They've replaced their little newsletters. I mean, it is literally everything going through this app. So they're pushing a lot of video content. And the realization is, let's put people in there that are approachable. Let's that have a brighter personality or can speak properly in front of a camera and don't stammer and stutter, because she can't fix that. I mean, that's the reality. And if that's what you want to put out there, maybe it's not effective. You go back to the first question, it's certainly not effective. And to put an owner into a spot, there's Carpet Depot, it's a local spot. That is the owner. He's goofy. He's nuts. It's the Crazy Eddie syndrome. If those of us remember the Crazy Eddie, and he wasn't the owner, but his prices are insane and all that. And you go through all those commercials, that's an assumed risk of just doing it over and over and over again till people go, oh wow, there's that commercial again. And sometimes it just becomes white noise at that point too, which is certainly another topic.
So, great answers again. Susan, to your point, I would say this. That's a risky thing you did, you're right. So if an owner absolutely wants to be in a video because his wife says, honey, you gotta be in this video, this is your company, you've been doing it since you're 19. So good, you gotta put him on the video. However, you could have the edit magic involved there. You could have the edit magic involved. So you can start with him literally saying, hi, I'm Kevin Wood, and literally, you don't see me again, to the end going, see you Sunday. And so, yes, I'm in the video, but I'm not fronting the whole video. So that was a great point. And the Crazy Eddie thing is, you're absolutely right. That wasn't even Crazy Eddie.
No, that was one of his...
But we went with it, and that was iconic. I want to direct the next question to the two gentlemen in the middle, both who are involved with a physical studio, right? Do you have a physical studio? Okay, we'll get you involved. In a physical studio setting, what are some of the, I'll start with you, Joey, advantages of having that studio at your disposal for a business?
Sure. So we have a green screen studio, Studio A, and from a cost standpoint for our clients, it's a bit more cost effective because we can create a wide variety of video content where we're not on location, we're not moving equipment, we're not traveling from point A to point B. So from that perspective, it's definitely a lot more cost effective. It's a lot quicker turnaround time for our clients to produce effective content. That's pretty much a lie on that.
Yeah. Similar to what Joey said, you're in a controlled environment. So we can control the audio is 95% of the time gonna sound better. The lighting, you have a lighting grid that's set up so I can light this right. I get a key light, I have a fill light, a backlight. I can really control the image a little bit better in the studio than you can on location. And again, it always comes down to, okay, we're gonna do a video. What must the video do? What's the end game? What are we trying to get the viewer to do? There's a call to action. Right? We're getting them to reach in their pocket, pull out the credit card and buy something, or we're getting them to feel loyalty to your brand, or we're getting them to, volunteer more in the community, whatever it may be. So it always, for me, is going to be, what's the message? What are we trying to achieve? And then, come to the studio, we do it all in the studio, well, we might want to go on location. I might want to do something out, and see the porch hours and the ferry go by. So it's always going to be a case-by-case scenario.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the only thing that I can add to that, again, is to reiterate the fact that a studio is a controlled environment, so you have control over lighting and audio, and if you have to come back the next day, it always matches, versus if you're on location and you're shooting in someone's office, and there's a window there which has daylight has a blue color temperature, and so, your camera is set for that setting. Now you come back the next day and you have to shoot at 3 o'clock. Well, guess what? The sun is in a different location, so that same window looks a little different. So, that's just basic. And then the phones are ringing on location and the air conditioner is running. So you have to have, I'm a fan of shooting on location, don't get me wrong. Sometimes, there's no other way to do it, especially when you're walking into a company and you want to see that company in action, their products, their people, and so on. But those are things to keep in mind when you're shooting.
Good, yeah.
And one of the clients we have does a weekly Facebook Live show. He's an attorney, he's part of the HIA board. And he'll come in once a week with 2 or 3 guests, and we have a nice little sit-down set. You know, I know, Joey, you've got a beautiful set in your studio similar to that. And he comes in, and he's in and out in an hour, and in that 1 hour, he gets 4 15-minute segments done. We're ready to go, it's plug and play, and boom, they're done and they're out. If we had to come into his facility, we gotta bring in our gear, and then you gotta go, and then we gotta set up, and there's always something in the video that's not working in the beginning, and there's troubleshooting fast. So the crew could be in his office for maybe 4 hours setting up for a 1-hour shoot, and it's a disruption there. So those are some of the considerations you have to have as well.
Again, great stuff, thank you. Joey, this is to you. When, because I know this is part of your expertise, your toolbox, if you will, video effects, whiteboarding, taking video live completely out of the picture and whiteboarding, or cartoons, or when is that appropriate? When do you recommend that to a client?
Right. Yeah, animations, motion graphics, things of that nature, I think those are appropriate a bit more when you're building up the actual marketing collateral for your company. You know, explainer videos to explain your services, explain your mission, your company's overall, you know, stamp in the community, what have you. When you're ready to take the human element out of it, you know, if it's evergreen content that's going to sit on your website and it's going to explain your company, then things like that are appropriate. But when we're talking about the world of social media and making more human connections, then, you know, you want to take that more, you know, subject person approach. Mm-hmm.
Good. Anybody want to talk about video effects?
I really like the use of motion graphics or just graphics in general, almost all the time, because graphics add another element, a layer, even on social. Sometimes you're scrolling through your Facebook and it doesn't have sound on, so now you rely on graphics to tell the story, you know, or to get certain points across. And it also, whilst the narrator is saying one thing, a graphic can reinforce that point, or make another one where you don't always have time. I mean, in this day and age, it's you know, less is more. So we want these bite-sized contents to say so much. Graphics come in really handy often.
And then, again, it goes back to who's the target audience? Because the way I'm going to communicate to a middle-aged white guy like me is a whole lot different than the way I'm going to communicate to my, you know, 22-year-old son and his girlfriend, right? So that's very, very critical. I can get away, people in the business say, oh, I hate the talking head, just the plain old talking head. Well, if the head that's doing the talking is worth listening to, that can be pretty effective. But, so we have to think about that. Who's the audience, who's the message?
Yeah, I said, you know, one thing we all use the term, and it's been used for, it's that short attention span theater, which has always existed, but now, I mean, tell me who doesn't get up in the morning, and if you don't, who doesn't flip through the Facebook feed? Who doesn't fly through it with a phone? Raise your hand if you don't. Okay, thanks. So, and then you have Instagram, right? And the younger, so that you talk about, you know, that part of it too. It's like motion graphics. I want to reiterate what Susan said. As soon as I see something that catches my eye, I stop. You just do. It's just what happens. And then, if it's on that graphic too long, I keep going. So that second part of it is not only does it have to display that message that you want me to see for the 3 to 5 seconds I'm going to give it attention, but you better keep moving. Give me the next one. Give me the next one. And keep me engaged as a viewer. And that's what I think all of us now are seeing. These 45 to 60-second get in, get out, a couple of sound bites, lots of graphics now. So now we've gone somewhat of the talking head. Now we've gone back to you know, the person on camera, graphic, some B-roll support, pop-up question, and it keeps engaging. So you will spend the time, you will finish it, and not get your 3-second Facebook
Right,
video. You'll get your.
and that's not to say if it's something that they're interested in, they can click through to the website and get the 10 or 20-minute extended version, or especially if it's training.
Yep.
You know, you can't say it in 90
It's
seconds.
that key jingle or that key.
Yeah.
So what we just described here, Joe, we talked about this the other day, seems to be IGTV knows this. They know what we've done. think about the data they have. Think about what they've seen in our actions. It's incredible. Almost hard to believe that they have billions of interactions, so they know what we do. Therefore, they cater their video business to what we do. That's what I see IGTV doing. I love IGTV now. It seems to be very engaging for me. I want to stay sort of on that subject. I'm going to get to the whole subject of placement on social media, but just down the line, really one-word answers. Did Facebook live stream ruin the business? I mean, is there a place where Facebook live stream is very effective? As I am Facebook live streaming now, I'm just a quick opinion poll on that, because it seemed to me that the video business changed because they had the audience built in. Corey and I were live streaming with Ustream 12 years ago, but when the audience was built in, it changed. So I want a quick opinion piece on that, related to business, by the way.
Well, I think, I mean, the quick answer is you can get comments from the audience, and that's really the wonderful thing about it, because you can get comments, you can get likes, you can get, you know, all of that stuff, but you're able to engage with the audience.
Immediate feedback.
Immediate feedback.
I certainly agree with Susan, being able to get that immediate feedback is great, but I know that, you know, Kevin and Joey and Corey are well versed in that than I am, so I'll let them spend that time on it.
Yeah, live streaming is definitely great. It's a really interactive way to engage with your audience. Just be careful because there's no pause button. So if you screw up, you're screwed.
Yeah. To reiterate, when you're live, and that's the. Has anybody here actually done their own Facebook Live events? Is it Donna in the back? There's some folks up here, right? So when you're 22 minutes in and you have 9 viewers, how does that make you feel? Now just think about that for a second, right? So it goes back to the very first thing we talked about, you know, effective video communication, right? So what helps that? Well, pre-selling it. So you have Facebook Live, and that's wonderful, but about a week out, you better start promoting that event, not just on Facebook, but promote it on Instagram. You know, there wasn't a long time ago, you know, in the Wayback Machine, you didn't have a website, right? No, a company had a website, was like, oh, look at that, they had a website. You know, well, I have to have a website. Well, I have to do it. Now everybody had a website. Then there was Wix and all these other services. Then it was click, 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 boom, website, GoDaddy, boom. Same thing, video, no longer an option, right? You have to have it because, well, a lot of your competition's doing it. If somebody's doing Facebook Live for a half an hour, 45 minutes to promote their car dealership, right? And they have this great sale. It's the same thing when radio stations used to show up, and they still do. But they come up with a big gigantic gorilla and the tent and the spinny wheel and, you know, blank remote would be down there and there. And did it sell cars? Don't know. Is your Facebook Live going to bring more business to your business, whatever it may be? I think it's a little more measurable, for sure, because of that interaction and the lead behind. You now have every single person that went in, logged in to watch it. So, you know, to go back to that very first point, you know, the effectiveness of video on Facebook Live, yeah, I think you have to. I mean, it hasn't ruined it. It's just another delivery medium, but you have to know how to deliver to it.
So I have a real-time example. Today I opened this show up with me outside at 7:20 a.m. in the morning. And first thing is I did it on the phone. The second thing is I elected not to do it live because I was groggy. I didn't want to mess up, and I didn't mess up, but I didn't want a chance messing up. So Corey's son put an Android phone on me. I did a 1:10 open, came out perfect, and I posted that 2 minutes later because my mantra is, what could be so important when you have to be live instead of 2 minutes after live? Okay? And then during the day, I took some chances. I went around the floor. It was supposed to be 3 booths that we followed. I went to 20-something booths. People did know what I was going to say. I literally went from booth to booth, made it up as I went, and they did too, because it was that quick, and it worked out. And I think it was effective.
But the viewer engagement went up as it was going along.
Viewer engagement went up. I want to make a point to a dear friend in the back of the room, the Don Drake Live It Up show. She could go live. Hi, Don. Hi, honey. She could be live. She could be a live show. I love the fact that she's not. Because, and I do another show too, where I purposely am not live. It's very easy to go live today. But, oh my God, look at the production quality. Look what it's putting across to people. Look what she's able to look back and go, you know what, I don't want that. She's got the control. Let her have the control in that respect. That's good for Don, I get it, but I appreciate that. That's my point on the Facebook Live there. And Susan has something to say, right? Or not?
I think so.
You know?
I'm not, I like Facebook Live for certain things, but it does not take the place of pre-produced content.
Yeah, of course.
It's so much finer, and if you're promoting a brand, you know, you want to use better cameras. Little cameras are great for certain things, but they don't have the, you know, the sensor or the lens or anything to make it really, you know, the focal length, all of that matters when you're producing content. So, you know, in some ways it's good, and in some ways,
Just to follow up on that, I think that's a big part of it, you know, keeps going back, is how is the effectiveness. When you shoot something with very shallow depth of field, which basically means the background is quite out of focus, and it's got the right framing, the light coming in from the right side, your mind automatically is set to perceive an emotion. I mean, I'm not a psychologist in any sense of the word, and believe me, they don't
Need one.
Yeah, I know, but it sets your mind to what message is about to come out of the mouth of the person who's talking, right? So you are staging it, and I know Susan for a very long time. I know a big part of this lighting, right? It's a huge part because it sets your mood. It sets the exact mood that you want the people to be in when they're about to listen to the message you're about to put out there, and that's a big deal. So you know, and again, we talk about shooting with an iPhone. You can do it, but you have to have good audio, good lighting. You can get good depth of field, fairly decent quality, but it goes back to the principles of good quality production, right? It goes right back to it. You're not going to do something in a word processor and you know, with a Microsoft Publisher back in the day. You know, that was a big transition. You had layout, design, everything, and the Publisher came out, and everybody was putting out these newsletters, and they looked exactly like somebody was putting them out in the Publisher. Sort of changed the business, but it also made the point to, you know, and if I may, I don't know if Greg is here, but you know, he's seen areas. So, you know, this is a person who's been in the business for a very long time in graphic communication, and he saw that integration of, oh, let's just do it ourselves. So we're in a very interesting time right now. Not saying that everybody can't do production themselves, but if you're going to do it, you know, do it effectively.
All right, I'd like to go to the next subject, which I think everybody will be interested in. Once you have your video distribution, okay, and I want to be kind of quick on this with us, because as I told you, time's moving quick. I want to open up the Q&A. I want to show a few of the videos of people that are sitting in front of you, to be honest. So, Joey, why, you know, where should someone where should they distribute their video? What are the points that make a lot of sense today, and how is that effectiveness measured when you're on that platform?
Yeah, you know, I tell clients all the time, you know, explore as many digital channels as you can, and pay attention to your reports, your analytics, and see what that's spitting back at you before you figure out which channels are appropriate for you and which ones aren't. As far as, you know, social media specifically, you know, you gotta pay attention to the type of audience that are on these different platforms. For example, vertical video is going to become huge in 2020s. You know, we have these younger consumers who are spending a lot more time on their mobile phones versus a desktop. They're spending a lot of time on Instagram, and Instagram stories are becoming a huge place to advertise. So paying attention to those aspect ratios when you're producing content. LinkedIn is a really great place, you know, like I said earlier, to position yourself as a thought leader, have a bit more of a personal element, your videos for business people, and you know, places like Twitter, Facebook, things like those is a really great opportunity to have those more generic, just pieces of video marketing collateral where you might play a little more with the motion graphics and things of that nature. So explore as many channels as you can. They're all out there for you. Just pay attention to the audiences that are on them and cater the content appropriately.
Yeah, no follow-up on that.
Wow, thanks guys.
Maybe you handle that one, Joey. Thank you. I wanted to point out, you know, we're talking about businesses today and how they're effective use. The gentleman that's sort of in the sub-panel area and is doing our Facebook live stream and works along with me is Joseph Ryder. He's sitting in front of me. And Joe is a New York City police officer that is lucky enough to do media for the New York City Police. And he's doing things, and you know, I want Joe to say a few words, but he was on the Santa Claus truck riding through Brooklyn, live streaming, and people's minds were blown.
And the engagement was off the hook, so just say a few things about what we do.
So a lot of people don't realize this, but the police department, a lot of things now are marketing and the image of the police department. And one thing that I'm doing with the police department is helping drive engagement and get people to see what we're doing in the community. Because one of the best ways to reduce crime is to prevent crime from happening. And the best way of doing that is providing programs for kids and getting them outlets where they can do things. We've hosted Madden tournaments and tons of different things. And using social media to promote that, something we're huge in now. And we're also using it to catch criminals. Last month, we started something called Brooklyn North's Most Wanted, which is a weekly show that comes out every Friday. And we're doing this to help drive tips, to help catch shooting suspects, murder suspects. And we've released 6 episodes so far. Each of them have got about 50,000 views. And our Facebook page that we were doing this on for Patrol Borough Brooklyn North had 10,000 followers at the beginning of the month. By creating this kind of content, they're minute videos. We have generated 5,000 new likes in 1 month alone, and each video is getting 50,000 views. And we've caught 2 shooting suspects and a murder suspect because of this.
Wow.
So video is huge. And principles of marketing don't just apply to businesses sometimes, they can also apply to municipalities and other organizations. And leveraging that can be huge. I mean, it's been great for us, and the same principles can apply to creating great content for your companies, your businesses, your organizations. There's tons of things you can do with it, and it's just up to your imagination of how creative you get with it. 2 years ago, did you ever think about the police department doing pretty much America's Most Wanted on their own? I mean, it's crazy. But if it works, then is it really that crazy? So,
Yeah. Well, Kevin, just to talk about technology, where things have gone. Okay, look what we have going on here. These are wireless cameras, streaming from each camera, over here via technology. Joey's sitting over here with the switcher system. Right now,
That's the video switcher.
So, and then we're live streaming it with audio and graphics. Now, I've been around a long time. This would cost back in the day about 150 to 250,000 on a good day to just do 2 or 3 cameras and basic switcher. I don't want to talk full numbers, but all in, I'd say less than $6 grand. Would that be accurate to say?
without the cameras.
Without the cameras, right, and everything else. But think about, of course, we have a reach today of whatever the HIA-LI following is, and that's wonderful and great. But when you think about the ability, what you just said, do you ever think that the police department's going to be able to roll out and do something like this? But talk about effectiveness. What'd you say? Two murders and 1 rapist? Was that right, or something?
Two shootings and a murder.
Which probably would have been solved if
That's
the
it, one
message
thing
was
about
announced.
Through Crime Stoppers, which is 1-800-577-TIPS throughout the city, after our videos were released, we did the analytics. Facebook analytics for your pages, if you haven't looked at analytics, it's crazy the stuff you can see. You can track numbers by the hour. We were finding we were releasing about 8 a.m. on Fridays. At noon on Saturdays, we were seeing our biggest numbers. And we tracked the amount of tips we were getting through Crime Stoppers, and what they were telling us is the tips were exploding. So it's huge. And Facebook Live doesn't just have to be your cell phone anymore. Through systems like these, and by hiring professionals, I mean, the cost of this for a day really isn't what it used to be back years ago. I worked in a TV studio before I became a cop, and now I pretty much have a TV studio in my trunk of my Toyota Camry. It's insane.
And you know what, I'm sorry, can I just make a comment on that, because that's a really great point. And this goes for any of the content you're rolling out on your social media platforms, not just your video. You need to pay attention to those reporting and analytics tools that these platforms give to you for free. They'll tell you the times of the days that your audience is most engaging with your content, and really pay attention to that, and really adjust your calendar when you're rolling out content, because you'll get better engagement.
Phenomenal. I want to attend my own seminar. This is great. We are so on time. Did anybody want to say something on that subject?
Just one of the things, and I know, we have a mixed age group, out in the audience, and this is a blanket statement, and I apologize for that, but it's a pretty good bet that, people in their 40s and up might not be as savvy with Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube and go on and on and on, but somebody you know is. So reach out to them, or reach out to any of the people up here or the video company and say, hey, how do we get more involved? Because it really is not that complicated, and you can do it. And when you pay attention to those analytics, it's immediate feedback to find out what works. So don't be scared, dive in, but you could also just step in slowly, and it doesn't have to be a full commitment. Taste it, taste the water.
All right, guys, I did want to leave time for question and answers. I have 3 short videos to show you. This first one is done by Corey's company, and we'll play it, and Corey will give you a short synopsis after.
We have 15 minutes left. Yeah.
So Conan is 3 years old. He's a lab Weimaraner mix. He's very docile and loving, and loves to be around people, and he loves to give kisses. Families tell me after Conan spent some time with him that they love him, that it was such a nice thing to have him be around them. Oh,
That's true.
That's the state's internet service.
Okay. Well, we showed it up there.
All right?
All right, so
Yeah, so,
Just-
sorry,
yeah.
I cannot control that.
to talk to that, so this is a 1-minute piece. There's just a little less, so like 58 seconds. So those are Long Island, there's no Maloney Funeral Homes. They have a number of funeral homes. They have a rather large marketing budget. Steve's not here. Steve Harper here? By chance, no. So Steve works with Harper Communications. It's his company. You know Steve from KJoy and HIA-LI for the years. So he came to us with this project. He said, hey guys, do you want to get involved in this? So what's the deal? He says, they have this thing with this comfort animal coda, and the client wanted to just shoot themselves and put it on social. So he said, can we, and this goes to budget logic, can we go out and collaboratively come up with a budget? And how do we do this? And so we came up with a number. And I said, well, present this number. And he looks at me, he goes, how can you do it for that number? I said, well, let's see where it leads. I said, let's shoot it with a DSLR, good lighting, good audio, concise, got the message across. And what it was is they added a comfort animal to one of their funeral homes, actually, and the whole backstory. Well, fast forward, rewind, two major benefits came out of it. One, the viewership, once we put it out, it was insane. It was so viral that like News 12 and FiOS picked it up. There was no press release or anything. It just became that type of thing. And they're like, wow, this is the story. So it gave free promotion and advertising from Maloney just from a feel-good piece. And it's really good. Number 2, their views were in the 50 to 60,000 range, which is a pretty significant number. But the other side of it is the additional business that my company picked up with Steve Harper, Harper Communications, to do additional work with Maloney, who used to go to Florida, and still does, but some of their work now, depending on what time of the year it is in certain funeral homes that they own, we're doing the work locally versus them going to, and yes, there is a wholesale funeral home production business in Boca Raton, Florida, just as a side note to everybody. They do a lot of funeral home work. So, welcome to the competition for us as well. It is hard to compete, but by showing you can do something within a budget line of quality, it yielded a number of additional projects for them. So.
Thanks, Corey. I'm going to show the next. Susan, this is yours, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to get full screen here. I apologize, Corey. Let's see if we have the internet.
A place where creativity and technology intersect, where your future career aspirations know no limits. A place where training starts and mentors inspire to prepare you for a career with infinite possibilities. A collaborative environment to pursue your passion, to think differently, to be creative, and expand the skills you need to succeed. Whatever your passion, think deeply, dream often, believe, take action.
So that was a television commercial that we did for a media and audio production institute. They have 6 locations, and the challenge was to create a spot that didn't necessarily depict one location. So we chose to follow a character, a typical demographic of our audience, and take the viewer through a journey. It's 30 seconds, tough to say it all, but we, in addition to that, we added value for that particular client by going back to some of the raw footage and creating other social media clips for them so that they can post them on Facebook and Instagram. You know,
But you
we always try to.
go back to the thing earlier, right, and what's effective. It's an audio and video school. And
Right.
you have to go into it and produce something that's commensurate with what the $42,000 a year tuition is gonna cost you, right? So,
Right, it's a brand.
So it's a brand. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a branding spot times 10, because they go, wow, that looks great. I wonder if they produced it themselves. You know, suddenly it has, but if that's the quality of the commercial, then that's the quality of the product that you're about to plunk down that tuition money for. You know?
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you so much for that one. I got one last one. Joey did this, Joey Gelfand did this, looks like 22 seconds.
Context, it might sound a little odd, but the Vac Daddy is a portable pool vacuum. And this was a combination of stock footage and motion graphics we put together for a trade show for them for a little teaser content. And that's the great thing about motion graphics and stock footage, is that there's really no cost to us other than, of course, our time and Greg's sanity back there. Sorry, Greg. You know, it's a really impactful way to help, you know, drive attention to your brand. They actually played this on repeat at their trade show booth, and they got some sales out of it. So we're really great for us.
Wonderful. So what you saw there were, in my mind, 3 different concepts, 3 different companies, 3 different ways to communicate effectively through video. I just want everybody to understand that our contact information is on a sheet outside. I could literally do 1 hour on any one of the subjects we spoke about. So I know there's probably going to be questions and things you'd like to know. We're open, all of us, for you. I want to turn it over to a Q&A session right now for 5 minutes. And if you need a mic, let me know.
Is anybody after us today?
No, nobody's after us, but...
They might kick us out of here.
5-ish.
So, if anybody has questions for any one of the panelists.
Do you ever do green screen?
What's the green screen stuff?
Yeah, I have 4 projects currently, and I actually, just as a side note, I actually edit all my own work. I bring in the support when necessary.
Pick up that mic cord.
Oh, sorry. But I green screen, and I loathed green screen back in the day. You know, it was just not effective. But through the advent of some of the new technology, we've gotten the image quality to be where it needs to be. And I won't tell you the trick, or heck, I'll tell you the trick, right? So 4K video comes out, right? So it's a big deal. So not to get crazy technical, but you need just a lot of color information in your video in bits and bytes. And so 4K came out, but we're not delivering 4K. So, you know, it wasn't brain surgery. I said, well, if we shoot it in 4K, and we get that higher amount of bit rate to record, yet we still edit in what's standard 1080. Wow, right? So I tried it, we tested it, and of course, good lighting and good audio, all that still matters. So yeah, we're doing a lot of it, and one project that's on the table right now, there's 23 training modules for a large healthcare system, which was initiated strictly by the fact that they were doing 100 to 150 person classes over weeks and months, where they have to train 18,000 employees. And, you know, 3 months in, somebody said, this is ridiculous. So we put budget lines together for them to do it in a studio environment. They couldn't put all these top doctors and executive level people to come to a place. So we built a studio in their facility with green screen lighting, sound deadening material, good microphones and everything else. And we're about to, actually tomorrow, I'm about to show the next phase. And the comments that we received were, wow, we've never seen green screen like this. But it's also stock background. We framed it so it looked real. You know, so we have emergency rooms, and there's operating places, and a hallway shot that we actually shot, and then we're superposing it ourselves so it looks like we were there, because it's the same thing. It can't look cheesy. And we all know green screen, it could be pretty cheesy, you know. So
Right, yeah, and it's interesting how technology is evolving now. In Loring Gregor Communications, we have our Studio A, which is a full green screen room with the overhead lightings, all the works. But it's interesting. I actually just purchased a green screen that I use for my vlogs at home, and it's just a green sheet. And now that you have like higher quality video, like you're saying, there's a bit more robust color profile in the video content that we're able to produce now. It's becoming easier and easier to use that type of technology.
I want to get to another question, if I can.
Yeah, please.
Anybody in the audience have a question? I can repeat it? Yes, sir.
When you're discussing like pricing with a client, how do you go about that to where you don't shortchange yourself, but you don't scare the client off?
This is a great question. We didn't get into a lot of pricing. I will tell you myself that I have a product that I put out at a certain price. I do video production as well. At a certain price that just meets a small business needs, and it's take or leave it. That's my own thing. John, you want to answer that question?
Yeah. So are you speaking from a video company that would go meet a client and they want to talk about a project and you're trying to figure out how to price it without scaring them?
Either that or like my freelance stuff.
Absolutely. One of the things that I did, and still do, I would say to somebody, it's like when you say, how much does a video cost? It's like saying, well, how much does a new car cost? Right? And it's because, well, again, and I'm always going to go back to the messaging. What does the car need to do? Is one person going to drive it? Is the family going to drive it? You're going to haul cargo? Do you just have to get to the Ronkonkoma train station? Or are you going to go luxury riding down, US 1? So define those needs. But then when it comes to the budget, you can say, I can do a video for anyone out here, and all of our colleagues can. I can do a video for you for $200. That'll work and get posted on Instagram. I can easily put together a program or a production that could go up to $100,000 plus, and you will get the value out of that money. So it's a tough situation. So I think you really have to ask questions again, and what is it that you need? What is it that you need? But you never speak with, what I call commission breath, right? You never make them feel that you're only in it for the money. Because once they feel that you're done, you're losing the client. You're in there. For me, I want a client for life. So I'm going to make sure you get value out of this. I might not be able to retire out of this first video we do. I don't want to. I want to do videos for you in my retirement. So that's how I approach it.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with John 100%. It's a sliding scale when it comes to pricing, but being able to, explain the value, not just production value, the overall value of this content to your client, and making them aware of the kind of payoff they're going to get by making that kind of investment is important. So there's a lot of education involved.
I have one.
We'll get to the next question right
I
after
think
this.
that it's very important to determine, who your client is, what market is he playing in, and what his competition or people he's competing against are spending to figure out, realistically where they need to be in order to get the results they want. So that's something else to consider.
Yeah, it's good to show examples of what you have seen. I like this. This is very important. If you say, I like this, and Corey's pointed out it's got a shallow depth of field, already there's probably more expensive equipment involved, sound and things like that. So I would recommend that if you like something, and I go, I want to look like this, I think any one of us can tell you what that would cost.
Agreed.
Next question.
Just one more follow-up. He's talking about how to set your prices as well. Is that part of the conversation?
Yeah.
A bit, right? Yeah. So.
Well, we live on Long Island, so we have to charge.
I'll talk
as much as
afterwards
possible.
because I have a little formula I can share with you. So.
Any other questions, guys? We're like 2 minutes over. It's been phenomenal. Any other questions? Going once, twice? Thank you so much. Please fill these out if you love us. If you don't, you gotta say it.